broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey AfterBuzzers, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Leftovers, Season 2, Episode 9, 10, 13. I am Roxy Striar. You will notice that I am not Zach Wilson. If I was, I would have started off with, wow, oh my god, this was crazy. But that is true. It really was an amazing episode. And because of that, I have an amazing team to help me out tonight, starting with Kelly McInerney.
Hey everybody, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HollyWeirdo.
And a very talented director we have brought in. He is the director of the upcoming movie Shay Upshot. It is Bruce Mason. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Excited to hear your opinions on this all. You'll have a unique perspective.
Okay.
If I say
Already,
so, right?
Yeah. If you say so. Thank you so much.
And as always, Steve Kaufmann.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That's Kaufmann.
Steve, where is Zach right now?
Zach is flying over Minnesota currently, but he is still in our chat.
That is very dedicated, I think.
That's pretty hardcore.
I'm excited he's with us, even though he's not with us right now. Then what he was just talking about is this chat. You guys can go to youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV, and you can join us live every single week, or you can find us on iTunes or on SoundCloud. All those great places, wherever you are. Give us a 5-star, thumbs up, and let us know what you're thinking about this episode. We read everything you guys have to say, plus every single article there is on this show. I know, Steve, you'll be our expert tonight. You were doing some research hardcore.
A little bit.
I want to hear your guys' overall thoughts based on the episode. I kind of am still mouth on the ground, jaw dropped, that bomb at the end, but I want to hear from you guys. What are you thinking, Kelly?
Yeah, it was amazing. I love when it towards the end of the season, finally we get all this information, kind of, and it was cool to hear Meg's backstory and everything, and yeah, it was just what? The end just was Okay,
yeah. What about you, Bruce?
It all kind of comes together for me right now in this episode. I watched all of the first episodes of this season within the past couple of days, so it's sort of swimming around in my head. I think this season is incredible. I think it's one of the best things on TV. I think there were some amazing scenes, amazing lines and reveals. I love the way that this show works backwards all the time. That it puts you right into the place of the plot without giving you the necessary information in the way that normal narrative Hollywood would. And then, 4 episodes down the line, you get what's going on.
I told you,
but you're never
lost.
But you're never ever lost in what's going on because the writing is so good, it's so clear, and the acting is brilliant. When Chris does the whole first hug thing and he cries, that whole monologue is so hard to pull off. He did it.
But he does.
He really did it.
All right, Steve, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I enjoyed this episode, but it was clearly to me a setup episode. Where it's we're setting up for next week. We're setting up for next week. And I think right around the time where he stormed the barn, where Tommy went into the barn and he was about to pull open that door, I was starting to feel a little disappointed. I was this is just going to be a setup for next week. He's going to find C4 explosive in the thing. She's going to blow the bridge. Whoop-de-doo. And then the reveal.
See, I knew it was coming.
Did you know it was coming?
Yeah, here's how I knew, because Zach kept telling me, you know what, episode 9 is going to be the biggest episode. I can't believe I'm missing this. It's always the biggest episode. Last season it was the biggest episode. This season it will be. And just so you guys know, we're going to have more of his thoughts coming later.
Yes.
He actually recorded a video for us. But I trust him. So I was all right, we're going to get something big. And then I watched with Steve, who had been watching, who had already seen it. And I'm all right, something big's coming. Because you can always tell when you watch with somebody who's already seen something. He's clenching and getting excited for something. I'm okay, well, now I know something big is happening. happening. Let's get into it, though. Let's talk about specifics. We start with Meg and her mom, who I was really excited to see. I thought that the second this opened up, all right, we're going to finally get into her. I don't understand this character. I can't wrap my head around why she's doing all of this. Maybe we'll get some sort of an explanation. How did you guys feel about her mom and the passing of her mom the day before the departure?
Well, what I like about her and a lot of folks who find the guilty remnant is they had problems before the departure. She had a coke problem that was so bad that she needed to go into the bathroom and do coke instead of hear her mother's little dying words. So whether...
In all fairness, she didn't know it was going to be her mother's dying words.
Obviously, but that's not how anyone would remember that trauma. That would just be trauma that would destroy someone forever. And then the next day, her problems don't amount to a hill of beans. So I think it's very, like, that torment.
So you take an Isaac perspective on it.
I do.
Do we think coke problem still exists, or is no longer in effect?
No, not at all. It doesn't exist.
I think she got numb after that.
I was just curious why they decided to show that to us, because she was this very low-key kind of girl. It wasn't something that I was expecting from her, and I don't really know what they were trying to tell us by showing us that she had a drug problem.
Well, they always told us from the beginning that there was something that was going on with her that didn't have anything to do with the departure, and that's what I thought was interesting about her in the first season. Was, all right, I knew that nobody had left her, but why is she there? There was some sort of trauma that was there, and true to these people who are, by the way, this series is always very, very honest in what they do. True to that idea, they show up and they show the mom's death in this season towards the very end.
Right.
But it's absolutely the right time. You don't lose anything, and it really ratchets the whole thing up.
Yeah.
For me, the suspense.
I completely agree. And something that you mentioned earlier is that she's eaten alive by this, that she doesn't know the dying words. So we decide, all right, we're going to go to Miracle. I was blown away that this is how they were tying this all in. I was thinking, okay, how are we going to get Meg to Miracle?
Right.
This is because the guilty remnant just needs to get there, but she was actually the first person there.
Yeah.
She was there even before Matt and Mary.
Right.
Was everybody else shocked by this, or did you guys see that coming?
I didn't see it coming, but it was something I didn't think about. Because I think we had heard at least one reference to Jardin and Miracle in season 1. Like, in passing, that I heard there was, very much in passing, like I heard there was a town in Texas where nobody departed.
Right.
So it wouldn't be unrealistic that people would have visited there from Mapleton.
Especially somebody like her that's just desperate to find out, she just wants to know what she was going to say,
Yeah.
Anything. So she'll try anything. And I'm sure that's that town is so popular. It's like the one city, everybody's heard about it.
But I want to know what it was that she heard from that guy. Because she knows that it's the truth. He really did know what Mom said.
Because of the walnuts.
Because of the walnuts. And then, that's what I love about this show, they leave it alone completely. Now, because it's a very honest show, they're going to bring all that back. Because they can't just leave that dangling. Like I said, they're way too honest, the writers and the creators of this show. So what is it?
So any of us who had questioned Isaac prior to this, based on what John said or all that, I feel like that now we know. Now he's a truth teller.
I disagree.
Okay, tell me why.
I think I have a theory that Darren pre-organized this and then gave him that information.
You think Darren told Isaac about the walnuts?
Yes.
How would Darren even know about the walnuts?
Meg may have told him. Like, this show, there will always be two sides. Whenever mysticism's involved, there will always be an explanation.
All right.
And they'll never give you an answer. So that's the flip. Like, every time there's a mystical thing in this show, there is always an explanation. It might not be right, but there's always two. And the logical explanation would be that as a truth teller, much like a lot of tarot card readers, mind readers, very skilled people readers, he did his research and somehow found out that information beforehand. Whether Darren orchestrated it, whether Isaac orchestrated it, that's my devil's advocate theory of how this isn't 100%, oh, he's a truth teller, there's mysticism in this world.
Well, here's something else to add to that. Maybe Isaac, because we're not there for the scene, after he says the walnuts and your mother was very polite, we cut away from that scene. Maybe he says something else to her.
Yeah.
Maybe he tells her how he knows. If it's not mysticism, maybe he tells her how he knows. And that's going to add to the plot as well.
he asks her, "Are you sure you want to know?" And then we do cut away. Do we believe he told her?
He may have, when he says, "Are you sure? Do you want to know?" He may then say to her, "By the way, this is how I don't know what your mother said, but this is how I know about the walnuts."
Yeah, we can definitely get that. Or he says something that may have been truthful that she just didn't believe. Whatever he said, she stormed off and hated him and Jardin and didn't believe him.
She says, "Bullshit, bullshit, I don't trust you," and then goes outside to Darren and says he's full of crap. I felt like she knew he wasn't full of crap and just didn't want to tell
I absolutely
Darren.
agree with that, yeah.
Kelly, how are you feeling about it? Do you think that Isaac really could see what happened?
Yeah, like I feel like Darren wouldn't go out of the way to like the walnut thing, or maybe I could see her telling him about the walnuts, just to go like, this is the whole conversation I had, like, because you're gonna remember that whole conversation, the last conversation. But I don't know, I feel like he's the real deal, Isaac, I feel like. And he told her, and she's just like, he's mad that
of all the stops on the tour and Miracle, I feel like Isaac's house should have been one of them. Like, they're willing to show this girl in the wedding dress, and they're willing to show the gas leak in the ground that they didn't fill. But the thing that is the most real and that could potentially help the most people, similar to the water, I guess, that's not a stop. And instead they run him out of town and they burn his house down.
That's why. Because if he is the real deal, or can at least pass as the real deal, more people would come to that town. More people than park rangers could contain.
Yeah, it wouldn't be safe anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe.
John's trying to keep that town safe from people like Meg, oddly enough.
Well, how about from people like him?
Well, him too.
True. I thought it was a really interesting moment, though, when we do get this bit between Meg and Evie on the bench. And first of all, the carrots, I immediately turned to Steve. I'm like, is that true? Can you not cry when you're eating baby carrots? I gotta try that. But when she says people come here and nobody ever gets what they're looking for, that baffled me a little bit, because I feel like if there was this town that everybody came to and nobody left satisfied, wouldn't people stop going? Wouldn't that get around?
But that's what the show's about, is the power of belief. And how we will believe something so hard because we need structure.
Yep.
Even if the structure doesn't make any sense at all. What I want to know is, though, on that park bench, did something happen that then sets up what happens later on when the girls disappear from the car?
Does something happen between Meg and Evie?
Yeah, does something get set up, or a phone number get exchanged, or something like that?
I feel like they stayed
that
in
then
touch.
leads to that.
Me too.
Because this show always connects everything. No matter what it is, it connects everything.
I don't know if they stayed in touch, but I definitely think Meg remembered that moment and somehow was part of Evie's, for lack of better word, departure.
Yeah,
I don't know how. Did she abduct her? Did she brainwash her? Did Evie come to Meg?
They could have been in touch.
Well, they could have been in touch. Also, it's a tiny thing, but the cricket sound that John was bugging out about in the first episode is the same cricket sound in Meg's phone.
In Meg's phone, exactly.
So it could be a burner phone that's hidden in the house. That's a bit of a leap of faith. But but
you're making the right connection.
Also, in episode 1, all 3 of the girls driving back from the lake have this really awkward, weird silence that we never understand.
There was also that scene with the girls and the running naked through the forest that we never quite understood.
I think now we know it might have been them getting their scent all over the woods so the dogs couldn't get a good trace.
I don't think
that's
we know,
me grasping
but
at straws. That makes more sense than...
I don't think you're grasping at straws at all.
Yeah.
I think that that's the way you have to think. Like, what is it they were doing? But some people think that image was actually a flash forward, and some people think it was a flash back and not in real time. So I would assume if they were planning their own escape, that's smart. That would be a smart move. But I don't think they could come up with that themselves. I think that they would need some help. That's where Meg comes in, and the rest of this team that we end up getting to. So we do have some people on Meg's side, but not everybody's on Meg's side, as we go tonight to what I'm calling the Guilty Remnant Council. I'm open to name changes.
The Council of Matriarchal Elders.
You see,
Eldresses.
Eldresses.
You're getting into
Council
Jesus Moses Tower Man territory there. Too many words. The guy that stands in the tower, we don't know what to call him week after week, so we call him Santa Jesus Moses, but now we know.
Yeah, now we know his name.
We do know. Okay, so they go to this council, and I thought this whole time that Meg was part of the Guilty Remnant. She was high up there, and everybody had her back, and she was involved. Now we see that the Guilty Remnant aren't really they're coexisting, but they're not really on the same page as her. Who are these 3 women that she goes to? What are they doing? How do we explain all of this?
I'm not sure. My guess would be they run the 3 most powerful houses, and then everyone else reports to them.
And you think that Meg's house is one of the most...
No, I think Meg's house is not one of the 3 most...
You mean each one of those people runs a different house?
Runs a house, or the 3 of those people run one house that is like the main hub house? I'm guessing at the organization of a cult, but that's my guess.
What do you guys think?
Do you think Meg runs her own house?
Yeah, they said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Meg's running shit. She walks in, she tells everybody, she's talking, she tells everybody else when they can talk. She has all the orders.
But I don't think that's her house, but we'll get there when we get there.
Okay.
But that house, I don't think that's her house. I think she runs a Guilty Remnant house, but she acquired a bunch of people who want to get fanatical and then set up a house in Texas to go after Jordan.
Right, I would agree, because the people that the guys that she brings along, you know, when they take Tommy and they do the whole thing with the lighter and the gasoline and stuff like that, that really felt like an outlier kind of group to me. Yeah, it's Guilty Remnant, but it didn't seem to fit in with the rest of the Guilty Remnants that I'd seen so far on the show. She does seem really powerful. I agree. She's like an offshoot now. I have no idea who those women were.
It seemed like they had more power than she did in this organization, but not actually more power than she does, because Meg's kind of off her rocker a little bit.
Zach Wilson in the chat is saying,
she's powerful.
I think these women are basically the executive board of the Guilty Remnant, with people like Patty Meg are local pastors who run their own house, and then they're...
Interesting.
How does Patty's death affect all that and affect those 3 women in terms of the structure of the plot of the show?
And not only that, but how does Lori leaving the Guilty Remnant and the position that opened up there?
She's kind of like opposite of Meg now. They're kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Although I feel like, do you think they restarted the Mapleton chapter? I feel like they just abandoned Mapleton.
I don't know, or merged with another one.
Yeah, they would have merged with the surrounding town, and maybe that's the house Meg took over.
It could be. I'm glad you mentioned Zach, because I want to pull up the video that he did record for us while we're talking about Meg. I know he had a lot to say about Meg, so Alexis, if you could help us out there, that would be great. Here we go. Look at
Hey guys, Zach Wilson here. As you can see, I am unfortunately not in the studio this week, but I wanted to shoot you a quick message with my review for Season 2, Episode 9, 10, 13. I'm actually in an interesting place right now. If you look over there, that church may seem a bit familiar to some of you. I am in actually my hometown of Dobbs Ferry, which, as we learned tonight, is apparently not where you want to be, because the Guilty Remnant is coming, and so I'm on a plane to LA in a couple hours. All right, quickly, my thoughts for this episode. What I thought was great. I loved getting more of Meg's backstory and her explanation for what she's doing in the Guilty Remnant and why she feels this way. We already knew about her mom, but what I thought was really strong is seeing her place in the Guilty Remnant, as opposed to Patty, who was a very strong leader, but very much guided by what the Guilty Remnant wants to do. Meg is the extremist. She's the outlier of this group. She's the fanatic, if you will. If the Guilty Remnant is a religion, Meg is the fanatic extreme. She is the Westboro Baptist Church to the Guilty Remnant's Christianity, or ISIS as opposed to Islam. It's a very dark term for her, but it seems very appropriate. I like the extreme place they've taken her to, and I think it fits well with Tommy, because really what Meg is doing in this episode is we see that she is looking for what to do next, and I think that's what most people on this show are struggling to do, is figure out what they're supposed to do now that the departure has happened. We see Jill and Nora sort of go downwards into this spiral and then come back out to a certain extent. Nora's still struggling, but Jill is sort of righted herself, and they're both sort of where they were originally. Like Nora's got her family. I mean, it's a little broken right now, but hopefully she'll get back. Whereas, and Jill has sort of come back into her family, into where she was before the departure, with a new setup, of course, and in a new town. But I think what's really interesting is seeing the two of them trying to find that place together. I'm curious what you guys think. Steve, Roxy, Kelly, do you think that they should be together? It seems weird to me, given their history and what they both stand for. But I think it's interesting to put them together in the same place. I think there's a lot of drama that can come from that, even with only one episode to go. So what else did I like? I really liked her scene with Matt. When Matt drops like, I'll be your living reminder. Just drop the mic and walk away. Matt Jameson can just drop the mic and walk away.
My favorite line.
I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on in this episode. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think. Steve, Roxy, Kelly, do a great job, and I will see you guys next week for the finale.
Thank you.
It's so cool that he shot it in front of the church.
Yeah.
And you know, because Zach's so dedicated that he went there just for this sole purpose, to show us the church. I love it. I'm really happy he got to record that, and thanks for joining us live in the chat. Zach, he asked us if they should be together, and I definitely want to get to that question. But before we move to that point, I just wanted to cover one more thing. When we came to the council, they were talking about Meg being involved with the 1014 action, and that she had to show up. Predict, what do you guys think is going to happen there? What exactly are they planning?
Well,
With the plastic, and then blaming the plastic explosives on her and all this stuff?
well, there was a tiny thing I needed to confirm but I found a screenshot of it now, that essentially there was a very brief flash during that scene that showed the camper on the bridge outside of Jarden.
Okay.
And then everyone looking at it, and then her truck pulling that camper, which would mean she's not going to be. What was the town they said? Probably the town. It's the town that Zach actually lives
Dubsbury,
in. Yeah,
something. What it was called?
Dobbs Ferry.
Dobbs Ferry.
Thank you.
They said you and your house will be at Dobbs Ferry for the presentation or for the plan. My guess would be the plan would be similar to season 1, where they all just do a giant. They all just do a giant FU and incite people to riot.
A big living reminder.
Yeah, like a huge living reminder, because that's what the core tenets of the Guilty Remnant would be. But Meg doesn't want to do that at all. Meg's plan is, I don't want to get too prediction-y, but Meg's plan is definitely to bring those 3 girls to that bridge.
Saying that there wasn't a departure.
Yeah.
Or saying there's something seriously wrong with your belief in this departure stuff. Because you thought these girls disappeared, and here they are.
And they passed all those tests.
And they weren't. Yeah, and they weren't kidnapped. These 3 girls willingly came along with this, or whatever is actually going to be. I think it's also very important, and I'll leave it alone. It's very important that of all the characters in this piece, in this show, in Guilty Remnant, Meg is not part of the departure. Her grief comes from something else, not from a loved one disappearing because of the departure. I think that's very, very important to the dynamics of this show.
I think that's what drives her, though. I think she's more angry. Like, everybody else got to be sad because of this big departure, but she is angry because she had a loss too, but just because it wasn't like the special departure loss.
Angry and guilty because of the coke too, because she wasn't around for Mom's death.
But I think that's actually most people who wind up in the Guilty Remnant. Because Lori was more upset at her failed marriage. Patty was more upset that she never left her husband. Like, these are all people who had sadness and trauma before the departure and just used the departure as an excuse. Or as a reason that become nihilists.
So Patty never had anybody.
Well, we don't know if Neil may have departed.
So am I possibly wrong? Except for he was in the hotel.
That's what we think.
Am I possibly wrong then that Meg is the only person who hasn't had a loved one in the departure?
Well, I think she might have had a loved one in the departure, but I think what's interesting about what you're saying is that Tommy as well doesn't feel grief based on this departure. It was for a different reason. So a lot of the Garveys, Kevin, all of them, I mean, I guess Kevin was sleeping with somebody who departed, so that would be cause for concern.
Sure.
But it wasn't his wife, it wasn't his kids, it was different than that. The only one that we see that has multiple people in their family is Nora, who departed. Right. So, because it's only 2% of the population?
2.3, I think?
Yeah.
2.3.
I've only read 2%.
2%.
2%, 2.3, it varies.
So I think that's something that Meg and Tommy might have in common, that their grief doesn't come from that, that it was there prior. Tommy was really, they weren't doing so well, and they might have been masking that, which is why the 2 of them joining up together this week, I feel like I keep saying this, but it blew my mind. Like, watching this, I didn't know what to make of it. Liv Tyler is so talented that I'm like, is she in love with him? Does she hate him? I have no idea what she's feeling right now. Is this her all just trying to get his pain away? Or does she have bigger plans for him? When she starts laughing, crying, the whole thing, the whole journey with the 2 of them, I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. I need some insight from you guys on this. I look to you.
To be revealed.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. So we can start at the beginning of their journey, because it was a really long one. Tommy, he is trying to hug everybody's pain away, And I guess it's working for these people the same way that that Holy Wayne's was. Does this make you guys believe in Holy Wayne's power less now that we see Tommy's hugging people and their pain is going away?
No, only because I never bought Holy Wayne.
Oh,
But,
okay.
But the presumed power of Holy Wayne, yes, it would. This would degrade it. But yeah,
It's just like a placebo effect, basically. I feel like, and I think that's what Holy Wayne did too. But he was more like he believed in it a little bit. But Tommy's just like, I'm just doing this because Mom wants me to.
But here's the whole thing about questioning the metaphysic of the piece, and I don't disagree with you at all. But here's the whole thing about it: the departure did happen. If the departure didn't happen, then we don't have a show. So there is an unexplained metaphysic, or some whatever you want to call it, that is going on here. So yeah, Holy Wayne could be for real. Plus, I'm racking my brain now. There's some place in this episode or the episode before, the episode that we're talking now, or this episode before, where a minor character says something that is he wouldn't have information on, that underlines once again the metaphysic. Do you have any idea of what I'm talking about?
It's happened so many times on this show. I guess...
That really seemed to underscore that, yes, this is for real. But the bottom line is the departure did happen.
Was it with Kevin Sr. maybe? And being in the hotel also? Or...
Oh, that was incredible when he was on the TV set.
There's so many moments.
But that could have been anything, because who knows what's really going on there? Is it hallucination? Is it brain death coming back? Or is it really this other dimension?
Maybe you guys in the chat now.
There was another guy, an older guy, and he says something to somebody, and I'm seeing...
Oh, you're talking about, it's not, the guy that we met the first time in the station, and then...
He's like in the station,
and then the thing with the tea at the grocery store, and he got it for Nora.
Are you talking about Virgil?
Virgil. And then he died. Yeah, where he ends up dying and taking him with him.
No, it wasn't that character.
I had no idea.
It wasn't Granddad. No, it was really like a minor character who says something like...
Are you talking about David Burton or the guy I presume to be David Burton, the Australian guy they mention a couple times on the bridge?
I don't think we're going to get to the bottom of this. Maybe they'll help out, but the point is that...
The point is that every once in a while the show will have a character come on that I'm not particularly in focus on, who will say something that underlines, yes, there is a metaphysic here. Yes, there is a point to some of this metaphysic that's absolutely real.
Because last week that guy said it's as real as it's ever... This is as real as it'll ever be.
Virgil said that.
Or, no, the unnamed Australian man.
Oh, David Burton, the guy that you think
the guy I think is David Burton.
Okay.
Also, somebody happens to have posted a screenshot of that scene, and there are 3 ropes hanging from that bridge. I'm staring at it right now.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that at all.
Wait, from what scene? From the...
When Kevin is having his, whether it's a hallucination or an alternate plane.
And he's with Mini Patty.
And he's
given the noose.
Yeah.
And
Mini Patty, right.
The Australian man puts a noose around him. I'm looking at it right now. There are 3 ropes tied onto this bridge.
Interesting.
And it looks like the whole town is...
And what's the significance of David Burton?
They've been teasing it very far in the background of an Australian man who's presumably raised from the dead. Then they read a news report that not only did he raise from the dead, but once he raised from the dead, he said, I just checked out of a hotel.
And Kevin Sr. is in Australia.
Right.
And there was
Aboriginal pain.
And there was, I believe, either a screenshot or the news report that named him David Burton.
We got to get back into Tommy stuff right now, guys. So when we're talking about Tommy, we can't talk about him without mentioning that moment with his mom tonight. When Lori, she comes in, they're kind of arguing about the semantics of this, whether they should be getting paid, who's actually doing the helping, and she slaps him. And I lost it because I feel like I can always justify Lori's actions. I try to see where she's coming from, but I just think she's dead wrong in this situation. I think that she's not treating her son well, and I think that he was right for leaving her.
He's absolutely right. What he said about her, you're manipulating me, absolutely right. It was kind of edible, but he was saying, you're manipulating me. And it's the wrong thing for a mom to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, because her intention is pure. But she's exploiting him.
I think it's about money. I think
she's really cynical.
I think she's incredibly cynical, but ultimately she wants to save people from the guilty remnant.
Yeah. She wants to feel important. She's writing this book. She needs people to care. She needs this money. She wants to feel like she is God, and she's not.
She wants to replace it with herself. She wants for everybody, for the guilty remnant. She wants to replace whatever you're believing in, whatever your life Bowie thing is with her.
Which is why she goes with Kevin when Kevin's like, I need your help, will you come with me? And she says, yes, okay, I'll help you out, because she needs to feel like she's helping people. That was the wrong move. He's on the verge of a breakdown. You cannot help him. What kind of a thing do you think it is that he's living with his new wife and his ex-wife comes and moves in? That's what she thought she was doing. What? Are you crazy? I think she is really, really selfish at this point, and I was glad that Tommy got out of there.
Well, look at how she reacted to the publishers. How she sprung on that guy and beat him up. That'll tell you a lot about her right there, and how pure her motives are,
right.
Or whatever. Not pure. That's the wrong word. Whatever her motives are.
Yep. But now we know
she was
why.
Pissed.
Yeah. So now we know how Lori ended up in Jarden, though, and why she's been looking for Tommy, and now we also know where Tommy has been. So this, to me, was the meat of the episode. Watching this unfold between, he looks at her, he says, why did you fuck me? Like, everything else makes sense. To get back out of my mom, all of that. He goes, he's drunk, he's crying, he needs to see her. Why did you fuck me? Which isn't the question I thought he was going to ask, but I was really glad he did, because that was all of our question, too. Why did she do that? And her response was a little jarring.
Yes.
I think that we might have some different opinions across the board. She says, because I wanted to get you pregnant, I wanted to impregnate you. Kelly, how are you feeling about that? What on earth is she talking about?
I don't know. I thought maybe she meant that she wanted to get pregnant, but I feel like the way she said it, it was like she wanted to
she
put
said it
something
She
in
said
him.
it twice to clarify, I want to get you pregnant, in
Yeah.
a very Tracy Morgan-like way.
Yeah.
I don't do a Tracy Morgan impression, so I'm not even going to bother, but he says that to people a lot.
Just to like mess with him, I guess, just to impregnate him with like just this idea. Like, she just likes to mess with people, I feel like.
I feel like it's deeper than that.
I think it's I have a theory that she wanted to plant a seed in his head that she's someone who can take the pain away. She's someone who can fill the void that's in his life.
So you think she's impregnating an idea?
Yes.
Okay, Bruce, what do you think?
I'll buy that. Yeah. I mean, at first I thought that she meant I wanted to get pregnant by you. I was agreeing with you, but I think that's too easy of an out.
Oh, yeah.
It would take the plot into a whole other direction, and they're too honest to go in that direction. It's too sensational. What are you going to do with this kid anyway? Unless you're going to get into a whole Jesus thing. We've
So
already
you
been
don't
doing
believe
that.
she's pregnant right now?
No, I think I'm going to impregnate with you an idea. I think that her and Lori, like I said, are opposite ends of the same spectrum, or opposite sides of the same coin.
Because both of them
they're both power hungry.
Yeah.
They're both ego driven. They're both maniacal in that way.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people in the chat are saying that that's what her mom said, or that's what her mom was going to say.
Well,
I wanna get you pregnant. I don't.
Wait, I'm sorry.
no, Mom was going to say that to
That's
That was the
Meg?
dying words?
before she died.
That's the theory in the chat.
Maybe
and then
she
that's why
said,
she's
I want
repeating it.
Darren and you to have a child, I feel like would have been proper phrasing.
Yeah, but like
I want to
but
get you pregnant.
But she might have. I know she might have said it. She might have said it real weird. I don't actually buy that. I think it's MacGuffin. What the mom actually said.
Here's why I had such a
Do you
hard...
think? But do you think they have MacGuffins in this show? I think that's one of the things that makes this show so powerful. To the degree to what I've watched it is that there aren't any MacGuffins. Everything always pays off.
Not everything.
I think everything pays off.
The dog guy last season.
We don't know.
Yeah, we
We don't know
I
because
think
we haven't
some
seen
of
the
it-
final show.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But
We
I
don't
do
know.
think.
But I hear you.
I
Yeah.
had such a hard time with this moment because I found myself, I felt like swept off my feet with them at this honky tonk and them dancing and the kiss. And all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I think I kind of want them to be together. And that was like a horrible thought. But
in
to
that
answer
moment,
Zach's
yeah.
question, do I think they should be together? No. Did I want them to at that moment? Yeah. I was like, okay. I'm all in. Like,
If Meg wasn't an evil mastermind and he was just a pawn in her plan to take over, to sully the one town that's practically unsullied, yeah, sure, they'd probably be great together.
is she an evil mastermind? Are we positive of that? Because
I think we'll know next week.
I kind of think she's fantastic. Whatever she's doing right now, whatever this plan is, I might be signing on.
Remember, she's the one in the first season who chopped the tree down over and over and over, and kind of she mastered it. I don't know how that plays in, but I'm just saying in terms of the development of her character and the motivations of her character.
We hear her mom tonight say, "You are the most relentless person that I know."
That's right. She did say that, right?
And
yes.
I think a lot of parents compliment their kids in different ways, but relentless isn't a word that you hear thrown around that often. And I would agree. I think she is relentless. And not only is she relentless, but she has gotten an entire group of people to follow her. They're not necessarily the Guilty Remnant Council, but when we end up at this place in Texas, and everybody's like, Meg's going to change everything. She's going to change the world.
But that's worse than just her having a house in Dobbs Ferry.
Or better.
She has, well, depending on what her end game is.
Was anybody else thinking maybe this could be good, whatever she's doing, or are we thinking pure evil's got to be bad?
I think it's bad.
I think it's bad.
I think it's bad, but I think ultimately it's got to be good, at least from somebody's point of view, because, again, this show always sets everything up, and it sets it up in a very direct and honest way, and then in a surprising way. So if this show is about what we will do when we don't have anything to hold on to, how we will structure our universe when we don't have anything to hold on to, then maybe she's evil, but she's trying to show them something. When she says she's going to blow it all up, so she's going to blow up the remnants and everything. Because when I'm in Texas with her at that compound where where I call it the canned ham is, right? The Airstream, that's not guilty remnants anymore. They may be wearing white, they may be all be guilty remnants, they may be writing stuff down, but they're an offshoot now. They're an offlier. They've evolved into something else for another purpose that's really, really clear. We don't know what it is yet, but it's really clear to them and it's really clear to her.
And their leader is Meg, and in case we had question about how far she's willing to go and where she's come to at this point, we hear her tonight stone him.
Yep.
Yes, right. Yeah.
That's
and
what
then
leads
his
me
screaming is
that's what leads me to believe that everything they're planning is not good.
We also hear her when she's talking to the council say, I disagree, violence is very important. And her with the explosives and all these things, and then her go to the bridge, and which all culminates in her talking to Matt, who read right through her shit. Was like, I can tell you're lying. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'm not signing on to this. I don't really know anymore. Could she be doing something great? Maybe, but if Matt's saying no, Matt's kind of like, Matt's
maybe she's got that kind of mentality like from the Vietnam War, destroy the village in order to save it.
Maybe.
Just a thought.
I think she wants... I honestly think she wants to take over that town, because she said people in that town don't have pain.
Yeah.
So Guilty Remnant won't have a chapter here. They won't have a presence here. So I think she's trying to just hurt them.
She even said they're not suffering like the rest of us.
Yeah, that she's trying to make October 13th a day they'll remember too.
But why would making the town of Jarden suffer change the world?
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be a worldwide phenomenon that she's going after.
I don't think it's big enough. I know that we've been taught this whole season, Miracle is the place, but I don't think it's big enough. I think her plans are bigger. I think she might not be the only one doing this, and Jarden might be one of a bunch of places that are going to be under some sort of attack tomorrow or on the 14th by all different leaders.
Is there another departure in the offing, do you think?
I hope not.
We've talked about it.
No, I mean another departure on the show, not another season.
No, I know. We've talked about it.
There's only the one? I mean, is she
it's
precipitating something? I don't know.
My hope is that it's only the one.
Yeah.
Okay, and if it's only the one, then why do we think that she has taken these 3 girls, or that her organization has taken these 3 girls? She's obviously trying to show that there was a departure of some sort again.
She didn't take them.
You don't think she's aware they're in the trailer?
No, I think they chose to join her version of the Guilty Remnant.
They heard about it somehow, and they did this on their own.
And Evie seems very disillusioned with the town of Jarden to begin with, and that's her finding meaning, because she's very snidely, and I'm assuming the other 2 girls, because they don't have very many lines, like very snidely all about we're the spared, we're this, we're that. That emptiness and pain is somehow in them too.
What was on the lighter that she gave to her dad? Remember me?
Yeah.
That she gave to her mom?
Yeah.
When her mom was in the GR?
No, that she gives to... She also gives the lighter to Dad for...
She gives a present to her dad, John. He never opened it.
Oh, and Evie does. I thought
Evie gives a present to John. John has yet to open the present.
Right.
Oh, I thought he opened it.
Nope.
No? Okay.
My theory is that whatever's in that box makes it very clear that she departed. Makes it very clear that she joined the guilty remnant.
Or whatever we're calling that organization.
Yeah, the guilty magnet. We'll work on it. We'll workshop in names.
Evie says it doesn't matter when Tommy comes to the thing. That's what she writes to him. Like, doesn't matter why they're here or what it is. And Tommy, they close the door and presumably Tommy leaves. I think he was going in there to find the stoned guy, but instead he finds this. Do we feel like Tommy's somebody who's gonna sit on this information, or he's gonna have to do something to help?
I don't think he went in there to find the stone guy. I think he went in there specifically to see what was going on.
Yeah.
That the guy got stoned for, and that's the end of the show. So we don't know what he's going to do with that information, but he's going to do something with that information. Because if you go back to the first season, what he did with whatever the guy, Mad Walter, Huggable Walter.
Holy Wayne.
Holy Wayne, yeah.
Holy Wayne, right? Whatever he did with
I like Huggable Walter though. I think that's solid.
He was, the thing about Tom, Chris is that Chris being the actor is that he's a really, really innocent character, and they keep his innocence throughout the entire seasons, the 2 seasons, and this show, and that's what makes him really sing for me. Is that he's the one person that I can think of offhand who is as emotionally available and transparent and innocent as he is. And that's got to be for some reason in the plot, not just because, we need to have some coloring. That's got to be there for a reason.
Well, I think he's going to act as a voice to Meg, like, hey, don't do this.
But unless she corrupts him.
Yeah, but that's
Maybe.
But that's what they're leaving us to wonder. Is he going? Is his morals and values going to be so strong that he stops her?
Because when he was
or is she going to corrupt him?
And I agree. And when he was doing that huggable thing that we find out later on is all made up, I didn't think it was made up at all. I think that he really genuinely believed it when he did that. Otherwise, this guy is too canny and too manipulative.
Well, that he believed it and that it's made up are two different things, because I think he believed it based on that bathroom scene with Kevin when in the finale and he hugs Kevin's pain away as he's dying in the bathroom. So we know that he believes it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's real.
That's
okay.
how I feel.
Okay, that's the metaphysic of the show, though,
Right.
too. Is it real or is it not?
But
as long as you believe it, it's real.
But it seems like Holy Wayne didn't know.
Didn't know what?
That it wasn't real.
That it wasn't real, because Holy Wayne was dying in that bathroom with Kevin in the season finale, season 1, and he pretty much said, "If I die here, that means it's not real," or something to the effect of like, "I just want to die knowing it worked or didn't work, or it was real," so that even if Tommy does have a power or doesn't, he'll never actually know. If Holy Wayne didn't. Also,
why does he agree with his mother then that he doesn't have the power? I think that he
Tommy?
does. Yeah, I think that he either does have the power or he really does believe that he had the power. But then he goes ahead and agrees with his mom, and isn't he agreeing with her?
I think he doesn't have the power. I think he thinks he's exploiting people and taking their money, and he doesn't want to do it anymore.
So it's all been a cynical thing from him as well.
I think so.
Gosh, I don't know. Okay.
That's tough though.
Also, RFLL Buzzy in the chat said the Mega Remnant.
The mega remnant.
The Mega Remnant.
Pretty good. Any other thoughts on the episode, guys, on tonight's episode? Because we're going to get to some predictions. But first, I want to hear a little bit from you, Bruce, because you have a movie that's come out that's on digital release, and I want people to know a little more about it.
Right. It's called Chez Upshaw. That's spelled Chez, like, Chez Maison or Chez anything, kind of a restaurant. Chez.
Very fancy. Chez.
Yeah, very fancy. Upshaw, UPSHAW. That's the last name of the main characters.
And really talented performers are in it, too.
Yeah, we've got Ileana Douglas, and we've got Kevin Pollak and Molly Sims, who's wonderful, and Greg Grunberg and Shane Johnson, who is on Power right now. And
we covered that show here.
Do you? Yeah. So
Greg Grunberg also on Heroes, a show I cover.
Yeah. So we've got a really great cast. It's about a middle-aged couple that open up an assisted suicide bed and breakfast, which is called Chez Upshaw. That's the name of their bed and breakfast. For reasons why they do this, well, you'll have to see the movie. It's a dark comedy.
Leave us wanting more. I like it.
Yep, and you can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Google Play. Those are the platforms right now. Maybe I'm leaving something off. I don't know. Those are the platforms right now. I probably shouldn't say this, but I am going to say it. It looks like on Google Play starting in December. You can get it for 30% off, just in time for the holidays.
Okay.
Yeah.
An assisted suicide comedy, just in time for the holidays.
Perfect.
What could be better? You think that's wrong? I'll send you back to It's a Wonderful Life. What's the basis of that? Suicide.
I
So
like it.
Zuzu, here we come.
So, will Leftovers fans, do you think that they'll like this movie?
They will love it. Yeah, it really is very funny. It's very clever. Sometimes it's absurdist and silly and slapsticky, and sometimes it's not at all. It's more like an English comedy.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different levels of humor to it. We won a bunch of awards. It's a good movie.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the holidays
Yeah,
to watch it with my family when
There
I
you
go
go.
home.
It's a family romp.
All right, I love it. I love it. Okay, let's get into some predictions
it.
for the Leftovers.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So my first prediction is that we're going to have one episode left of this season, which is the most devastating prediction of all. I honestly don't know what to do when the show goes off the air. Like, it's the worst. How do you guys feel about us getting a season 3, first of all? Predictions on that?
We better get one.
I think the fact that it hasn't been renewed yet leads me to believe they're going to wait for award season. I believe December 10th is when the Golden Globe nominations come out.
Okay.
And it'll be based on that, and then award season in general leading into January, February, because the pure numbers, like the reported ratings on this show, not including like the HBO Go or Now numbers, because we don't know those, seem low and not very good. But HBO is literally the only network that wouldn't care. They'd be like, no, this is a critical darling that will draw people in, and then they'll watch Game of Thrones, then they'll watch all the other stuff. Yeah.
I think that this is one of those guys. Tell a friend that this
Yes.
is the best show on television, because that we're going to be the ones who keep the show going. And I really honestly believe that this is the best show.
And if your friend is in the Hollywood Foreign Press, definitely tell that friend.
I completely agree. All right, in the scenes from next week, we saw a bunch of things flashing across the screen. I almost started laughing because Steve is so fixated in 9261, 9261, and you keep talking about it, but that came across. All roads lead here, and they're not safe, and nobody's being spared anymore. I want to hear you guys' predictions. Kelly, what are you thinking?
Well, I think like what Steve said earlier about how the 3 girls are going to be on the bridge.
Yep.
I think that's what I predicted too, and yeah, they're going to be revealed definitely, and there's going to be
Willingly?
I think so. I think that there's a big plan behind it. I feel like Meg is the evil mastermind.
Okay.
And I don't know. Well, at least Kevin will be kind of spared about the fingerprint, so there'll be that.
Oh, you don't? Then they won't even care
Need
whose
that?
palm print it was.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we get out of it. Okay, Bruce, what are you thinking?
First of all, I don't know what you're talking about. All the images flashing. I didn't see that. So
on the next week.
Yeah, the way that I was
Yeah.
watching, because I was watching it on HBO Go on my computer,
Kind of
so
just
I
a
didn't
bunch
see
of words and crying people.
I didn't.
We
I wish
saw-
I'd seen all that. Obviously the girls are gonna. The girls are gonna be doing something. The fact that the girls just simply closed the door, they're not. They haven't been kidnapped. As far as the show being renewed, I sure hope it's being renewed, because if it's not, they better put out some sort of after show blurb about what would have happened. But but I hope it. I'm fairly confident it will be renewed, because Hemlock Grove made it into 3 seasons,
Right.
and it had
Netflix.
terrible ratings, all the way along. It wasn't actually a very good show. I watched the first 2 seasons because there's things about it that I liked.
I got to tell you, I didn't love it either.
Yeah, but there were things that I liked about it. Like I loved what now your name's going to go out of my
Fonka
yeah.
Jenkins.
I actually liked all the choices that she made as an actress. But anyway, it didn't have great ratings. It got into a 3rd season. Now it is gone.
So now we believe in the show. We're believing in it, that it's going to get a 3rd season.
That's my prediction.
Okay,
Yes,
I like it.
based on that. Okay.
I'll take it. Steve?
Yeah.
I think Kevin has multiple personality disorder, and that second personality is a guilty Remnant member.
Oh my God! You
And
think
I think he's
Kevin has many people because he's been running away, and one of them's been running away to
There's
the
a
GR,
different-
to the place that Liv Tyler is.
Yep. And I think he's in on the plan the whole way.
Oh.
And I think that
He
would
put them
explain.
there?
That's why. That would at least explain why he was at the lake when.
Yeah. Alexis killing it. Yeah.
That would at least explain why he was at the lake when the girls left, however they left.
But he was there to commit suicide with the block, the cinder block.
But it wasn't him. He doesn't. The Kevin we've followed this entire way has no recollection of the Kevin that jumped in that lake, leading me to believe that it's the multiple personality Kevin who's a member of the Guilty Remnant, smokes a lot. May have been trying to set up a gas line.
Smokes a lot, right.
Smokes a lot. May have been trying to set up a gas line under that lake, or do something to cause that drainage of the lake. I don't have very good theories on why he was at the bottom of that lake.
I think it's a damn good theory.
But I think he's been working with Meg this entire time.
All right.
But if he's a multiple personality, one of those personalities may be also working against me.
Yeah.
Because it depends on which Kevin.
It's tough when your body's doing that, working with and against somebody.
Also, I think.
And smoking.
Also,
I think Meg is gonna pull up to the bridge with the 3 girls. Everyone in the town is gonna run to the gate. And then they're gonna hang themselves, and then she's gonna.
They're gonna kill themselves.
They're gonna kill themselves willingly, and then she's gonna try to blow up that gate or do something similar to cause a massive, painful event for that town specifically.
My prediction is that what Meg is going to do with the girls, I'm not sure, but with the rest of the people, she says they need her because I think her plan is that there's more of them than there are of the guards to get in, and if they rush this place, that they're gonna take over. So I think she's gonna try to be the leader of this outside group.
What's going to happen to Matt?
And Matt's going to try to stop her.
Yep.
Is he going to succeed?
I think that's part of her plan.
Not at first. Not at first.
And what about John Murphy? What's going to happen to him?
Oh,
can we just kill him? By the way,
he seemed pissed.
Somebody's
going to die.
I think there's going to be an explosion. He'll be in it. I think he's going to find out about the handprint and is going to go after Kevin, but then finds out the girls are at the gate.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, he says Evie. Come here or something.
But then he's skeptical of her anyway. Okay, we could talk predictions forever about this, but we have to wrap up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. Kelly, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HollyWeirdo.
Bruce Mason, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I loved
It's
hearing
been a
your
pleasure.
opinion on everything. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me and my movie on iTunes and Google Play and Amazon.
Shay
Upshaw, CHEZ.
And where can they find you?
You can find me in West Hollywood.
No social media for you?
Oh yeah, I have a bunch of social media, but I can't tell you what it is right now. Just look up either Shay Upshaw or Bruce Mason, and you'll run into it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry.
And you guys can find me right here, right now, but also on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That's KAUFMANN. This hat, courtesy of Kangol Hats, part of their new line.
Awesome, and you guys can find Zach Wilson at that Zach Wilson. Thank you so much for recording that video for us. We love hearing what you guys have to say. You can find me at Roxy Striar. You can find us at AfterBuzz TV, AfterBuzzTV.com, YouTube.com/AfterBuzzTV, on iTunes, on SoundCloud, wherever you are. Leave a comment. We love hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you so much, Leftovers fans. You're the absolute best. See you next week. Woo.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.